comments coming from Trump, from Peter Cardillo, the chief market economist, Spartan Capital Securities LLC. Hi, Peter. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Of course, we have to talk about, before we get into the markets and further cues, what are you making of the latest tariffs coming on, announcements coming on the tariff front? It could go up to 250%, is what Trump is saying. What are you making of these comments?
Well, I think, obviously, once again, Trump is putting pressure, and obviously he's threatening steeper tariffs so that he can make, eventually he can make deals, especially with countries like with India. Whether or not those steep tariffs will go into place, I'm not certain of that. I think that eventually we will see lower tariffs being imposed. And of course, the fact that he says he's taking in trillions and trillions of dollars, yes, that's probably correct. But let's not forget that even a baseline of 15% or 10% tariffs is inflationary. So, yes, he's paying down debt, which he basically said. And, yes, the trade deficit will shrink, and you will get a false reading on economic activity from that. But consumers are not likely to go out and spend as they were 6 months ago because of higher prices.
He also spoke about tariffs on pharma, where he says that it will be raised to 150% in the next week or so, and eventually to 250% in the next 1 year. Is this even realistic? I mean, what impact will that have on the U.S. inflation market? And is the 250% really realistic?
No, absolutely it's not. I think it's just, threats and 200, 250. I guess countries that export drugs will have to just shut down their operations. That's not possible. But again, could it go into effect for a week or two? Possibly, but it's not a sticking point.
Okay. Peter, now shifting focus to energy then. Now, given Trump has given statements about potential sanctions on countries that purchase Russian energy, and India's NSA Ajit Doval, he is in Russia currently for, strategic meetings. How do you see this whole scenario unfolding? Trump is also expected to have talks with Russian officials. So what could be the potential outcomes of these two meetings with India and USA separately from Russia?
I think they'll probably find some sort of agreement, and whether I don't think that India is not going to trade any longer with the United States. I think it will. Will it trade with Russia on oil? Probably, but maybe split the trade of oil between the United States and Russia, instead of just buying all its oil from Russia. There's a possibility that they will buy some from the United States. I think there'll be a mutual agreement. Look, what we're seeing here is not only a war of tariffs, but a war of words. And at the end, there'll be some sort of an agreement. Of course, this war of words can weigh heavily on the markets, not only in India, but here in the States and on a global basis as well. But if you look at really what's happening in most of the global markets, they've been concentrating on the fundamentals, and those fundamentals are earnings, which have been extremely good. And so, yes, you get a one-day maybe pull back on tariffs or tariff threats or whatever the case may be. But eventually, investors look at the fundamentals. And I think that's what's going to transpire over the next couple of weeks, when Trump announces tariffs on chips and of course pharmaceutical products. And you might have a 1 or 2 day scare, but after that, I think that those steep tariffs that he is talking about will bring the trading partners to the table.
Perhaps some kind of negotiation is what we could see between the US and India and several other countries over the next few days. Peter, thank you so much for taking your time out and joining us here today and helping us understand what the macro setup is looking like this morning. But shifting focus back to Indian equity markets then, and it was another lackluster session on Dalal Street yesterday with the Nifty